I'm here to introduce the Commander-in-Chief. I'm here to introduce a revolutionary. A revolutionary whom you can count in the same lines as Ben Bella, as Patrick Lumumba, as Julius Nyerere, Kwame Nkrumah, as Thomas Sankara, whom you can count a great Pan-Africanist in the same line as President Robert Mugabe. Comrades, fighters, ladies and gentlemen, we introduce to you the Commander-in-Chief of the Economic Freedom Fighters, Comrade President.
Amandla, viva EFF, viva. Long live the undying spirit of Robert Mugabe, long live. Long live the undying spirit of Robert Mugabe, long live. Thank you very much, leaders of the revolution, our comrades from Zimbabwe, led by Comrade Tyson and Patrick, our leaders in the country, leaders of the Central Command Team, DP, SG, National Chair, Chairperson and Secretary of the Province, Chairperson and Secretary of Regions, and your RCTs and the PCT, the community of Soweto, the people of Africa, all Zimbabweans who are here today and those who are not here. I greet you, sons and daughters of the African Revolution. Comrades, we gathered here today to salute one of our own. We gathered here today in Soweto as a generation of African revolutionaries in pursuit of a generational mission of realizing economic freedom in our lifetime. This mission is our response to the burning historic fires in our bellies, the distant cries over centuries that are resounding in our hearts about a terrible crime against humanity of the African child. We are those who have dismally failed to ignore this fire. We have refused to shut our ears against those distant cries. We are unable to live as if African dehumanization will resolve itself. Ours is a mission that directly, without apology, continues the liberation of the African people from colonial domination and conquest as launched by European white over 4 centuries ago. This is the well-defined mission by the founding African ancestors that Africa must unite, be self-sufficient, and that all its people must be in charge of their elective destiny without supervision of Europe and its white supremacists. It is our mission about the African people wherever they are in the world, resisting any usage of the color of their skin as a means of their oppression, as a means of zombifying them. It is essentially an anti-imperialist, anti-capitalist mission, anti-racist, anti-sexist mission which must be executed by any revolutionary means possible. We are here today to remember against forgetting, to pay tribute to the life and times of a man who was defiant when it was not fashionable to do so. Fellow compatriots, a towering figure of this revolution, our revolution, President Robert Gabriel Mugabe, the father of Zimbabwe, service also coincided with the anniversary of Steve Biko, who today was brutally murdered by apartheid police whilst in custody in 1977. We must salute and never stop to say the name and the ideas of Steve Biko, key amongst which is the fight to free our minds from the chains of colonial and white domination. It is Biko who teaches us that the most potent weapon of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. There is no other time when this statement has been so important than in this very occasion of the memorial service of Robert Mugabe. In remembering Mugabe, we have this important task to perform, to free our thoughts about Mugabe that have been sponsored by the enemies of our revolution. In remembering Mugabe, we must free the mind of an African child from the narrative created by the Western archives of history that will make us to hate Mugabe, because to hate him is to hate ourselves. So in the name of Steve Biko, in the name of black consciousness, we call up the black child to free your mind from the hands of ENCA, BBC, CNN, Fox News, white monopoly-owned publications who are trying to make you hate your own liberators and worship your oppressors. We have therefore gathered to remember Mugabe on our own terms, to remember against forgetting, to speak truth to dominant Eurocentric sponsored narrative against his admirable, brave, and very strong legacy. We are here to pick up the baton, to renew and to revive our vows that as long as we live like Robert Mugabe, we shall never compromise the demand for a total liberation of African people. We are here to identify with him in death as we identified with him in his living days. We are the descendants of Robert Mugabe, the children of Robert Mugabe, the successors of this stubborn old man, the man who fought against imperialism. In the name of President Mugabe, who died at a godly age of 95, we vow to continue the struggle in the same fearless manner he did. Fighters, you are not in a memorial service, but in a history lecture, because when you celebrate the life of a 95-year-old revolutionary, it's a reflection of our history. Where do we come from? Where are we? And where are we going? We are gathered here in Orlando, east of Soweto, to say we are Robert Mugabe and he is all of us. Not just in Zimbabwe, but even here in Soweto, South Africa. We are here today to celebrate the life of the founding father of an independent Zimbabwe. The life of an anti-colonialist, anti-imperialist who refused to bend the knee when faced with the harsh consequences. We are here to salute the life of Gushungo. We are here to celebrate the legacy of President Robert Mugabe. Fellow fighters and Africans, we must know that the act of remembering President Mugabe is an act of defiance. So if you didn't know where you were going to a defiance campaign. We are here defying them because they said we must never celebrate him. And like in a Mugabe style, we are defying them. We are here to celebrate him against their wishes. Many want to tell us not to celebrate President Mugabe, that we must speak badly of him even in his death. There are imperialists and racists today who want their heroes to be our heroes and their enemies to be our enemies. It is these people who celebrate murderers like de Klerk by giving them Nobel Peace Prizes. It is these people who name our streets, our schools after racists like Verwoerd and Malan. It is these racists who own our land and control our economy, who want to dictate to us who we must celebrate. Today we are here, inspired by President Mugabe, to tell them they can go to hell. We want to say to them, in the same style of President Mugabe, they can keep their de Klerk, we will keep our Mugabe. We want to tell them, those Rhodesians, they can keep their Ian Smith, we will keep our Mugabe. President Mugabe represents to us a hope that one can stand against the oppressor and live to tell a story of liberating his own people. The life of President Mugabe is an exciting life. The debt that we owe Mugabe is one who will never be able to repay. As a young revolutionaries in the continent, it is important, comrades, to know that President Mugabe was also young like all of us. Many elders in the revolution had a problem with President Mugabe. President Mugabe was impatient. President Mugabe wanted change, and he wanted change there and then. President Mugabe was amongst the giants, and therefore it will be incorrect to say you want to celebrate Nelson Mandela, but you can't celebrate President Mugabe. Because this President Mugabe went to school with O.R. Tambo, went to school with Nelson Mandela, went to school with Robert Sobukwe, went to school with Julius Nyerere. And therefore, it is this generation that represent a generation of fearless leaders who fought for our liberation. Now, if you are a non-thinker, you'll go around saying Sobukwe is a hero, Tambo is a hero, but Mugabe is not. Mugabe is a hero like all of those who belong to his generation. Mugabe loved education. Mugabe made education fashionable. It is Robert Mugabe who was well qualified. I mention this to you because we want to appeal amongst ourselves here as young people that we should make education fashionable. We should not only emulate Mugabe when it comes to defiance, but when it comes to discipline and education, we want to emulate the chief whip of DA. We shouldn't do that. We must follow the teachings of Robert Mugabe to the end. Mugabe was a soldier too. It doesn't mean when you are a soldier, you can't learn. It doesn't mean when you are a ground force, you can't go to school. You have to go to school, come back, do your work on the ground. Comrades, Mugabe went to school here in the Eastern Cape at the University of Fort Hare. He was shaped here. He started his politics here. And we are very proud as South Africans to claim Mugabe as one of our own. His appetite to learn, his vibrancy, his militancy, he got it from South African politics. In Mozambique, Samora Machel knows Robert Mugabe the radical because we shaped him as South Africa. Therefore, you can't say now that you don't know him because the whites say you shouldn't know him. If Mugabe is a factory fault, South Africa, you must take a collective responsibility because you are the ones who taught him politics. The Soviet Union knows Mugabe. China knows Mugabe. USA knows Mugabe. Mugabe is known all over the world and all over the continent because South Africa taught him politics. And therefore, you must not see him as someone that comes far from us. You must see him as your neighbor. You must see him as your grandfather. You must see him as an old man that stood for nationalization, as an old man that stood for the independence of Africa, as an old man that stood for expropriation of land without compensation, as an old man that believed in black people. You must never be ashamed to associate with President Mugabe. He became what they describe him to be because they did not honor the Lancaster resolutions. Had they honored the Lancaster resolutions, President Mugabe would not have turned against them. He would have taken their money, used their money to buy land from Rhodesians and give it to Zimbabweans. Because you must learn a simple thing, Comrade Chair, that they are Rhodesians and they are Zimbabweans. If you don't know who are the Rhodesians, you must ask. They left Zimbabwe. They are here, causing trouble here in South Africa. They came here because South Africa is led by cowards who were supposed to join the struggle for land. Mozambique was supposed to do the same. Namibia was supposed to do the same. Swaziland should have done the same. Lesotho, Botswana, so that these Rhodesians have got nowhere to go but to adjust to the new conditions of where they find themselves. And those conditions will be that black people are now owning the economy of Southern Africa. No revolution can succeed in isolation. The Southern African people failed President Mugabe by refusing to join his struggle of expropriating land without compensation. Mugabe was educated. Mugabe had all the reasons to live his life with his family. He was a teacher. He went to teach at his village. He came back to teach in Harare, went to teach outside Zimbabwe. He could have stayed in Ghana and enjoyed the freedoms of Ghana. But a true liberator knows that it is not about my personal comfort. It is about my people. Even if I'm comfortable, even if I can be hired anywhere, including in the Harvard University, I will never take those opportunities for as long as my people still live under oppression. That's what President Mugabe did. President Mugabe did not join the struggle because he was unemployed. He didn't join the struggle because he could not get a job anywhere. He was employed. He could become anything he wanted. Many people sit in the comfort corners. Today, many even sit on their phone to talk rubbish about those who have accepted leadership responsibilities. They say all manner of things about people who have accepted to challenge the establishment. Something they themselves cannot do. And they think we came to lead because we have nothing to do. It is incorrect to describe President Mugabe as if he was a political opportunist. He was never a political opportunist. He was a guerrilla in a guerrilla war. He fought Ian Smith soldiers and defeated them. That's why Zimbabweans today, they speak freely. You can say whatever nonsense you want to say about them. Theirs, they got it through a barrel of a gun. Yours was negotiated. That's why you can't move from the sunset clauses. Today you say Zimbabwe is in trouble and the trouble of Zimbabwe is caused by Mugabe. It's not true. Who caused the problem of Syria? Who caused the problem of Libya? Who's causing the problem of Venezuela, Afghanistan, and Iraq? All those problems were caused by Mugabe. Destabilizing those countries were caused by Mugabe. What is common with all these countries, including Zimbabwe, is the fact that imperialism intervened. And we always know that when imperialism intervenes, it destabilizes countries, and those countries never recover from imperialist intervention. That's what Zimbabwe is suffering from. When they took their land, when they took their economy, the imperialists imposed sanctions on them. We challenge imperialism, lift the sanctions, and let's see if black people will never run a successful economy. Let the black Zimbabweans fail on their own without imperialism sanctions. We want the sanctions in Zimbabwe removed. I want to tell you now that one day when those sanctions are removed, some of you who are beating up Zimbabweans here, some of you who are hating on Zimbabweans here, you are going to work for them. They will be owning their mines, they will be owning their retail, they will be owning their banks, they will be owning their land. You call them foreigners. What is the definition of a foreigner? A foreigner is a person who comes into your country without papers, doesn't have anything to show. That includes you. You are foreigners because you have nothing to show. You go around claiming this is your country. Let's go outside, show me papers that confirms you are the owner of this country. There's nothing. You don't own anything, yet you call people foreigners. You are a foreigner yourself because you do not own. Foreigners means visitors. Visitors are people who just come empty-handed with a small bag. When the time permits, they go. That's you. You are renting. You are marching from the hostels, beating up people that they must leave South Africa. Yet you do not own a hostel. You are paying a rent in that hostel. You can be removed yourself from that hostel. You are telling people to leave your country. You come from an apartment. You come from a flat. You come from a house. You have no paper. When you return back home after taking out Zimbabweans, the white man will be at the door showing you the way out of the rented flat, out of the rented house, out of the rented apartment. You have nothing to show. Yet you claim this is your country. You have nothing. You are defending a white man's property. This South Africa is owned by a white man. This South Africa is controlled by the white man. Don't tell me this is your country. When people are burning buildings, you are rushing, protecting them. Those are not your buildings. Those are white man's buildings. You have nothing. Stop hating on your future employers. These people are going to hire you. They are the most polite people. Even when they are educated, they still work for small jobs that pay nothing. They don't have pride. They know that you have to work to serve and feed your families. That's why they are here. One day, like it almost happened in Cuba when Obama wanted to lift the embargo against Cuba. One day it is going to happen. I pray to the ancestors of the revolution that it happens when I'm still alive, so that I can replay these videos and say, I warned you about harassing your future employers. I warned you about exploiting the people who are going to share their land with you because they've done it before. Why didn't Mugabe take the land immediately? He waited for you to get your freedom. Because had Mugabe take the land immediately, it would have caused a serious problem to a point where South Africa will not be liberated. They were a frontline state. They gave us a passage. They accommodated us. We stayed in their homes. They gave us food. They gave us shelter. They never called us names. Today it's our turn to say thank you. We become animals. It is not the spirit of Ubuntu what you are doing to these comrades of Zimbabwe. Comrades, the white people, the way they control us, we love them and we say they give us jobs. But the way they've made us to hate each other, even if a Nigerian was to come here and create 100,000 jobs, you will still beat that Nigerian because you want 100,000 jobs provided by a white man. When it is a job provided by a black man, it's not a job enough. They've instilled in you a culture of self-hate. You lack confidence in black people because you are not confident yourself. So, it is not correct that all Nigerians are drug dealers. They are Nigerian drug dealers. We must find them. We must deal with them decisively. We must isolate them. We must isolate them and teach them a lesson which they will never forget, so that they don't leave South Africa to go and try it somewhere else, particularly in the African continent. We do not dispute that there are drug lords from Nigeria, but not all Nigerians are drug lords. You know the drug lords, bloody coward. You are scared of them. You don't say to us, EFF, here are the names of the drug lords who have opened cases. Here are the case numbers. We will go and fetch the Nigerian drug lords. We are not scared of them. A Nigerian drug lord is not a black person. He's not even a Nigerian. He's a non-white. Anyone who feed drugs on our children, you have denied your status of blackness. Because black people do not do wrong things. We don't feed each other poisons. We protect each other. So anyone, whether you are a Nigerian, whether you are a South African in El Dorado Park, it doesn't matter. Drugs is drugs. They know no nationality. It doesn't mean when a drug is supplied by a Nigerian, it's more powerful than the one that is supplied by a South African. It remains a drug. It is illegal. It must be punished. But no one is going to brush all Nigerians with the same brush. The banks in Nigeria are owned by black Nigerians. They own properties. Nigerians in that entertainment industry, they are not competing with South Africa. They are competing with America. When you see a Nigerian artist, when you see a music video of a Nigerian, you will mistaken it for Americans. They are moving. You are busy with machete. People are working on themselves. People are beginning to appreciate that there is nothing better about America. Africa is more beautiful and more richer than America. Even here in Africa, we can do it. There are no borders in South Africa, in Africa. There are no borders. Some of you say, no, President, leave this thing of borders. The other one even sent me a message that, President, can we get a secret ballot on borders? If you are not a dictator, make us members to vote if we want borders or not. But the reality is, there are no borders. You want me to give you a ballot paper to vote on whether you want imperialism or not. Yet you joined an anti-imperialist organization. Everything that reflects imperialism, we reject it in totality. We don't want to see it. We can't vote about that. It's not open for discussion. There are no borders in Africa. These borders were imposed by imperialism. And we are not going to recognize them. These are our neighbors. What divides us is a fence. What divides us is a street. Just cross the street and come and ask for a salt. Just cross the street and come and ask for meal. That's how we grew up here in Soweto. We never said, you are not from here, we can't give you a meal. You are never from here, we can't give you a salt. This thing that you look at as countries, they are as simple as narrow, like neighborhood. These are our neighbors. They are not Zimbabweans. The same way, there will be the Ndlozi family this side, there will be Malema family this side. This is a South Africa family, that's a Zimbabwe family. We are divided by a fence. You don't have a salt, come and fetch the salt in bags. You don't have meal, come and fetch meal, because that's what we did. We gave you meal, because we know one day we'll run short of meal, and I will not come. My child will come and say, my father said, you remember the meal, you must return. That's how we are as Africans. When they are here, it is our turn to protect them. Their turn will come. When we go to Zimbabwe, we'll just say to them, you remember us. Because we are neighbors. Comrades, there is no one who's going to tell us how we should unite this continent of Africa. No white man is going to do that. No white man. Look at what they did in Libya. I was in the ANC when they went to attack Libya. I stood up and told Zuma that you have sold out Gaddafi. And Gaddafi gave you money to be a president of the ANC. Because you voted for no-fly zone. And they used that to attack Gaddafi. And when they were attacking Gaddafi, the white people came to us and said, oh, what was he doing to his people? He was killing his own people. That's fine. Gaddafi is gone now. What are you doing to his people? What are you doing to... They've never provided solution anyway. All they do is to disrupt. You listen to them in Libya, they said Gaddafi was a murderer. A man who gave people land, a man who gave people free education, free health care, looked after his own. We were told that is an enemy. We will never be told in the EFF who our enemies are. We will know who our enemies are. And enemies are those who are refusing to return their stolen property. And they will be regarded as such until they return the stolen property. When I was in Zimbabwe with these comrades are senior. They are extremely senior in Zim. When I was in Zimbabwe, it was during that time when I was going through the court of Dubuli Buni Song and the DC of the ANC. In the 4-eye discussion I had with President Mugabe was, Chief, if you don't want to go home because these people are ill-treating you, you can stay here. You can stay here and there is no ANC that will tell me to return you back to South Africa. They will never tell me that. Because they are hosting a lot of criminals there from Zimbabwe, and I'm looking for those criminals. They are refusing with them. They will never. You comrades can stay here and you can wage your struggle from here. And he was always ready and available to advise. And of course, at the end, we told Tyson and them that President Mugabe must retire because he was too old. And we don't want presidents that leave their office with a coffin. And we had not wanted President Mugabe to live in a manner they did to him. But leaving was non-negotiable. We spoke with Tyson and them. Even when those ones started that mess, I said to Tyson, why can't we negotiate? We take President Mugabe to come to South Africa. I even called President Zuma, the enemy. And I said to him, Chief, let's put aside our differences. Can you make a call for the old man to come this side. Because we were worried they were going to kill the old man. We wanted to save him. We had a revolutionary duty to save him. And you know, we're dealing with a stubborn old man who said, I'm going to die here and I will be buried here. This comrade, Tyson, his house was shot at with live ammunition. We can't even count. Inside the house, there were children and the wife. They were ready to kill them. This comrade is a nephew of President Mugabe. His mother and President Mugabe, they are siblings. He can't go and bury President Mugabe because he's wanted in Zimbabwe. We call upon Mnangagwa and his regime to do the right thing and allow this comrade to go back and bury his own uncle. And if they don't want him, he will come back. We will receive him here in South Africa. Not all the time, but sometimes the apartheid regime used to release prisoners to go and bury their loved ones. Is Mnangagwa regime worse than apartheid? Why can't Mnangagwa release a statement that says all those who have worked with President Mugabe, who are facing this or that charge for the purpose of this funeral, you are all welcomed? Some form of immunity. So that these people go and bid farewell to the man they lived with, a man who brought them up, a man who looked after them, a man who wanted them to succeed him. It was logical for Tyson to succeed President Mugabe. If Tyson can't succeed President Mugabe, what is the purpose of having the Youth League? Because the Youth League is the training ground to prepare the second and third layer leadership for the mother body. Why is Mnangagwa and crew threatened by the youth? Anyone that is scared of the young, you must know that person is not for progress. Because if you want progress, you will be with the youth and you will always support the youth. You will never be threatened by the youth. We are making an appeal that these comrades must be allowed to go and bury one of their own. We must put aside the political differences. There is no nonsense of the charges they are facing here. Those are concocted charges. That is political persuasion, persecution, because you are threatened by the youth. I know what you are going through. I went through that myself. I'm going through that myself now. They wanted to arrest me. They actually arrested me. They arrested me. They took everything I had, threw my children to the streets, left me with nothing, because theirs was to break my spirit. They are still trying even now. So I understand deeply what you are going through. To wake up in the morning and your own comrades turn against you. There is nothing wrong with you wanting Mugabe to stay. There is nothing wrong with them wanting Mugabe to go. It's a political differences. It must be resolved politically, not through the abuse of state power. Comrades, we must make sure that we defend our revolution against the imperialist forces. Donald Trump Boris Johnson, they are leading the charge against all progressive forces. The racists are in power and they make no apology about it. And then you go around apologizing for them. You go around justifying it for them. They make no apology. A white journalist called me pussy in Pretoria there, right? All white journalists and all white leading personalities came in defense of that guy. But if it was you who had said to Helen Zille the same weight, the black people would have joined Helen Zille and them to get you fired and arrested. But when it comes to the descendants of Jan van Riebeeck, they unite. DJ Fresh is fired for saying such words. Many other people, black journalists and radio people were fired for saying almost the same thing. This one says the same thing. He doesn't apologize. The organization apologizes on his behalf. And black people see nothing wrong. Don't be impatient with them. We ought to tell them they are fools, but we must not write them off because we are in the business of liberating the mind. The oppressor is still in the position of their mind. And our struggle is to go and fetch the brain of the 702 blacks. We're going to fetch it and come and restore it one by one. We will get there. We will get there. Don't worry. Comrades, when it comes to whiteness, when it comes to white supremacy, they unite. But when it comes to black people, black consciousness, we do not unite. Even on obvious things. But what was he doing? Whites are not like that. You know, black people, they are provocative. He must have done something wrong. So, comrades, we must unite as black people against white supremacy, against imperialism, against colonialism, which continues to dehumanize black people because of the color of their skin. We need the unity of Africa. It is important because colonialism and imperialism thrives in Africa through the divisions they've created through the so-called borders. That's why they say to you all the time, you can't remove the borders. You can't remove the borders. They know the day you remove the borders, you are going to unite. And united Africa is a defeat against white supremacy, against colonialism, against imperialism. We are in a war here. If you think we are playing, you must stand aside. This is just the beginning. Things are going to be tough. And fighters, you must be prepared. When you fight Pravin Gordhan, you must be prepared. The man uses the same modus operandi. They make sure they discredit anyone they fight against. They make you look corrupt. They destroy your image in front of the people. So that when they come to deal with you, society will isolate you. They did that in the 80s. The Indian cabal did that. Created Winnie a monster. Created Peter Mugabe a monster. They did that with Krisani. They did that with everybody they disagreed with. That this one is a sellout. This one is reckless. This one is an unnecessary radical. They destroyed Harry Gwala, the Indian cabal. They do that. This Amabungane thing, when you see it, you jump. It's the same modus operandi. That time they were not using Amabungan. They were using City Press. It was coming the same way. It is Stratcom. That's how it works. When it starts like that, like they did this week, you must know it will never stop. Praveen operates like that. No, you own this, you own that, you are hiding this, you are hiding that. Before you know it, he brings SARS. Before you know it, they destroy you, have nothing. Everybody, yeah, no, it's possible. Yeah, we have seen. Yeah, VBS. Even VBS. In VBS, 2 billion gone. Ugari yile VBS 2 billion ugari yile. The ANC people are nowhere. Badiang balata smamatana sesa mudimu bariki Zuma barbochi Nkandla. They know they can't take Nkandla because Nkandla is built on a Ngonyama Trust's land, and the land does not belong to Zuma. It belongs to the king. So they just want to pretend like they are on course. They are not just coming for EFF. They go to Zuma, Zuma, and then they are dealing with everybody. When they come here, they go for a kill. When you try to speak Barbara, even Zuma. Where are the people who took 2 billion of VBS? Where are the people who took 2 billion of VBS? Repela Brian Shibambo. Did the toilet paper didn't want Brian Shibambo. Repala logo at toilet. Brian Shibam. Where are the people who took 2 billion? What are you doing to them? Those are ANC criminals. I told Ramaphosa on his face there in Parliament. As our VBS Grewen. The people who stole VBS money, 99.99%. Kema khodwa hawa. Batswana lo wena o le khodu o tsije chelta bo sasa le bereka ka o fela bloody fool jama khodu. Aye, same thing. Now, Van Veek has done diagrams about how money came in Gamega, Mahuna, Malema. Right? We are still to see a diagram of 1 billion which went into CR17 money account. Where is the diagram? Up in Nabile, they even did a video. Malema, on YouTube, I've got a Wi-Fi where I stay. I was putting it there. He put 5,000 here and 500. I was dancing. 500. Nando's. Barg regularly gas pizza rega la costa. Samagia paradia parajabum buiseni la costa. Let's go and say Namodi la costa more man. Please. Lady Cavella jabum buiseni. Regraduated the Cavella area para qua cosas. When we're still in cos Kesaishwa cosa Cavell, Nando's, Ujile Nando's. Kur kam khoba nyaka. Bangwala lor ke pupurle le marap. Ke yile Nando's ka pupura le marap. Banyaka everything abantisi. But you must know that I do not have a sleepless night. Because when I see a white man after me, it means I'm hitting hard. And the white man is feeling the pain. It means I'm getting under the skin of a white man. and I will never retreat. Write anyhow you want. I don't take you serious. Ugogo wase Elias Mutwaledi squatter camp doesn't know what is Mabunga. When you arrive at squatter camp, right? Bar Malema ujire chelete ko Maverick, daily Maverick. Mokakulor. Ke mayana Maverick go we welela ka ngwana rena sele Ramon. Our people will never be told by Daily Maverick and Amabungan who their leaders are. Our people know their leaders. Amabungan and Daily Maverick and Scorpio Mbwisen, they are not a newspaper. They are a gang, they are not a media house. They are a gangster formed to pursue the interest of Pravin Gordhan. And as a result, in this memorial service of Gabriel Robert Mugabe, we declare them as an enemy of the revolution. And they should never participate in our events. They should never answer any question from Amabungan, from Daily Maverick, from Scorpio. Let them write any nonsense they want to write about us. We know who writes their question. It's Pravin. It's Pravin. If you want to know how Pravin operates, go and read the book, How to Steal a City. They wrote about PE. He deployed a woman there to go and fix that PE. That woman writes about how Pravin used to guide her in detail. No, ask this, go here, do this. That's what they are doing. Pravin is the one who went to meet with Judge Nugent to prepare the commission against Moyan. The judge never spoke about it. Pravin never spoke about it. Only when the story leaked, then they confirmed. If the story had not leaked, we will never know. We're not going to know that Nugent met Pravin. If Pravin can meet a judge, who's a journalist? The holy judge. Who's a journalist of Mabungan? Who's a journalist of Scorpio? They are the same. The pattern is the same. Let us treat Amabungan, Scorpio, Daily Maverick the same way we treated ANN7 and New Age. They are the same. They are anti-us, and we shall treat them as enemies. Anyone who wants to go into solidarity with them in the media houses, you are more than welcome. Anyway, we are not getting any coverage. It's not coverage you are giving us. It's nonsense. I go to the Hawks. I go to the Hawks. I cooperate with the Hawks. I go there. They read the rights to me. And then they say one of the rights you have is you have a right to remain silent. I use that. I say, okay, I'm choosing the right to remain silent. The ENCA goes and report and say, Malema refuses to sign a statement. And then you call that a coverage. It's an absolute rubbish. It's nonsense. They don't say Malema used his constitutional right to remain silent. It's a constitutional thing. It's not reserved for others. I deserve it too. Malema refuses to sign a statement. When I say you don't give us coverage, they're going to say, we give you coverage. That's not coverage. It's a propaganda that is aiming at destroying the EFF. You must study this thing of media. How they write about you, they use certain words to project you a monster. When they want to, even the color on TV, they don't just make us look beautiful. They can just say, no, darken it, darken a bit. Make him dark. So that you come across as a monster, as a potential gangster. And then they make the ugliest, Pravin the ugliest, the most beautiful. Bona Cyril. They make Cyril the most beautiful. With that nose, the most beautiful. And then they make us ugly. They make it dark, make it dark. Is there a way of increasing, of making the eyes red or something? Yeah. Comrades, it's not a joke. They do that if they don't like you. When they come to a function like this, where there are masses, and they realize it is successful, they don't show the masses. They only show Julius Malema, so that no one sees that there were masses coming to honor Robert Mugabe. Whether they televise it or not, we've been taught long time ago that revolution will never be televised. We must never rely on the media to wage a revolution. We must rely on the ground. We must go door to door. We must do person to person. We must go to our communities. We must spread our message. We must be rooted amongst our people. House by house, hostel by hostel, brick by brick. We shall speak to our people directly. Our people will get our message. We don't need the go in between, because they distort what we stand for. We are children of Robert Mugabe. We are children of Winnie Mandela. We are children of Muammar Gaddafi. We are children of Thomas Sankara. Children of Julius Nyerere. We are children of the giants. We are not children of cowards. We are not children of criminals that go around the world stealing people's properties. We remained here with our forefathers, looking after ourselves before the arrival of a white man. We can still do it. We have only ourselves. We have nowhere to go. Africa is our home, and it is the only home we have. Comrades, let's protect it, because without Africa, we will be slaves somewhere else. If we destroy this continent, wherever we go, we'll be treated as rejects. This is our continent. Whether they like it or not, we will honor and protect the legacy of President Mugabe. His legacy is a legacy of defiance, a legacy of liberation, a legacy of economic freedom, a legacy of expropriating land without compensation, a legacy of facing the imperialist and telling the imperialist to go to hell, a legacy that says, I'm an African, I am black, and I'm proud. Never be ashamed of who you are. Your conditions shape who you are, and you are going to use those conditions to liberate yourself. Zimbabwe, we are with you. You are not alone. The Mugabe family, we are with you. You are not alone. We will see this thing through together, because as Africans, we look after one another. Give the old man a dignified funeral. Whatever the differences you have, please put them aside. Let us bury the old man in a dignified way. Because if it becomes disastrous, if it becomes anarchy, the enemy will be happy. Like they wanted anarchy at Winnie Mandela Stadium, they didn't get it. They got a dignified send-off. And I trust you, Zimbabweans, that on Saturday and Sunday, you will do the right thing. Let the old man rest in permanent peace, permanent power, because those of us who are remaining will continue his legacy. Rest in peace, President Mugabe. Amandla! Amandla! Viva EFF, viva! Ayule EFF, ayule! Tata EFF, tata! Long live the fighting spirit of Robert Mugabe, long live! Long live the fighting spirit of Robert Mugabe. Long live. How Robert Mugabe. Mugabe. Robert Mugabe. How Robert Mugabe. How Mugabe. How Mugabe.